Abu Dhabi, and Rui Costa is here. Louis Meintjes likewise with his rather incongruous elbows stuck out. 8.1 to go. We'll be at the steepest part of this climb in about 4 kilometres time.
Yeah, 8 kilometres to go now, and it's kind of steady gradients until the about 3 kilometres to go mark, but it's a telltale sign. Quintana wanted to try and get behind Contador. Contador was having nothing of it, and the two of them are just looking at each other. But Louis Meintjes, the former South African champion, just kind of hanging on the back. Nicholas Roach, the Irish champion, down towards the back as well. So this is a steady pace now being set by some of the main GC contenders teams.
It is. There's Quintana. Just behind him right now is Bardet, who's being guided up by Domenico Pozzovivo. In fact, Pozzovivo just a little bit behind Bardet as we check on the other monitor. But yeah, Bardet is most definitely in the game here. There's TJ van Garderen looking lively today. That's Paolo Tirolongo, incidentally, best placed of Astana as we speak. Cataldo a little bit further down the mountain. 7.7 kilometres remaining then as they continue to grind into this one, and still we constantly hook back to the ambassador of the race, Mark Cavendish. He's going to start hurling abuse at the camera in a moment. He's done his job. There we are. That's about as polite as he gets in a situation like that. I think they may well leave him alone now. 7.5 to go then. These are magnificent mountains. When you come up here, it's kind of rarefied really, because the view is spectacular on a clear day. It's been blowing up, however, with not exactly a sandstorm, but it's caused a little bit of haze. There is Vincenzo Nibali. He's refinding his rhythm here.
Yeah, Zakarin for Katusha's there, Kruijswijk, then Nibali, Rui Costa, Rafa Majka, a lot of the riders that we've been talking about as we come up towards halfway up this climb. But Alaphilippe is up there for quick step floors as well, as Nicholas Roach starts to get a little bit distance at the back here. So all the riders we've been talking about with 7 kilometres to go on this climb, a lot of looking behind now by Trek Segafredo, setting a tempo at the front. But most of the GC contenders we've already mentioned. You can just see Alaphilippe and Brambilla are there for quick step floors. Alaphilippe is starting to grimace a little bit, so this is getting tough and tough all the way up this climb now.
Well, Nicholas Roach has gone for the Maori tattoo. We'll see if it brings him some power. The man who's looking threatening at the moment for me is Julian Alaphilippe. He looks very, very fresh. Take nothing away from Nairo Quintana. He just doesn't want to be made a fool of at the moment, but it was a good testing move by Quintana, and he'll roll again. He's just checking on who's around him. It looks like he may well launch once more, but Alaphilippe is looking tasty for this. Quick-Step could get a lot out of this race if in fact he does start to function at the highest. Teammate of Contador just looking round to try and find out where he is, and Astana just starting to think about imposing themselves on the climb. What about Aru today?
Aru is still there, but Tirolongo is setting the pace. This pace is not going to suit the likes of Quintana. Quintana wants a hard tempo. That's why they set a tempo right from the bottom of this climb. And they can't afford to let anybody go. Looks like Fernandez for Movistar is in this small split. Rui Costa is definitely there, but this is Quintana and Contador just playing games, looking at each other and not willing to help each other at all.
Well, there are others that may well just take a bite out of it, and you've seen that Bardet is looking lively. Tom Dumoulin as well may well do this on his own. 6.8 kilometres to go. It's going to come down to a lack of teammates by the end. Not quite at the steepest part of the climb, but it's a proper grind this. And when you get the humidity that's a common feature in this part of the world, and it's reasonably humid today, to be honest, with a blanket of cloud over us, then it's something that is hard to kind of physically master. There is Romain Bardet looking a little bit lacking at the moment. You never know though what is being kept in reserve for the final push, and when we get there with that 11% incline, it's going to be a tough one. Senni's up here as a good guide for BMC out front, as you can see. A lot of looks over shoulders. Louis Meintjes has dropped off the back, but still Rui Costa is on great form. May well have something, both he and Ulissi, for the home team, UAE Abu Dhabi. We'll see. It's Senni that's up the road at the moment with Da Costa and indeed Rui Costa there so as teammates, looking very, very good. Rui Costa part of the push out front with 6.4 to go. Now, is anybody else going to be minded to try and wind these guys in? Katusha having a go with Zakharin, and he's a sort of leggy character. You don't expect him to go as quickly as here, but he's trying to put a fire out at the moment. 3 riders in front of him. These are the chasers as we speak, with 6.2 to go, and it may be that some Lawrence Tendam just starting to just fade ever so slightly at the moment. It's not the end of this one by any means, and I think the winner's going to come from this group we're looking at right now. Yeah,
this group is sitting and waiting, but a bold move from Rui Costa.
Quintana lights it up, and guess who goes with him? They can't help themselves. Quintana versus Contador. I think it might be them for the final curve. It gets a little bit technical. In fact, there's some respite at the top of this mountain. We go into a little bowl and then kick up yet again. Nibali as well. What great names we have at the moment. Duking it out. 6 to go, and it looks like everyone else has been distanced. What can Alaphilippe? I thought he looked so fresh a few moments ago. Tom Dumoulin looking as if something's missing. Kruijswijk trying to get over as well, and in fact as he does so he guides over, help for Quintana for the final push here. This is fascinating.
Well, Rui Costa for UAE, one of the favourites for today's stage, just has to push on. He's got Senni with him. Senni was actually leading the Valencia race after the team time trial one with BMC, but he finds himself in a good group with Rui Costa as Stephen Kruijswijk tries to come across this gap. Everybody's just looking at Quintana and Contador. You just have to ride your own race. Micah now coming to the fore, but this is very interesting, the battle here between Contador and Quintana.
Certainly is. Who's guiding who is the question. Rui Costa at the moment is trying to grab a handful. 20 seconds from Rui Costa to everybody else. Now, we've seen this, and we've also seen it succeed, but he's got Zakharin on his case, and he's just tapping it into the void at the moment. In fact, he looks the most committed. Senni's just on the drift, but Rui Costa looks very handy. We knew he was on form after Oman, and it's loud, isn't it? The clarion call out front, and I'm afraid that nothing is going to work. Not in this push for Kruijswijk. It looks like he's potentially just waiting up or easing a little bit and maybe just ride somebody else up the incline. There's TJ Van Garderen, and he does not look comfortable, I'm afraid. And when you look at the gap there, it's not going to be TJ's day, this one, with 5.4 remaining.
No, he's kind of hanging on the back now, but tell you what, Rui Costa has just decided, well, they can play games behind. I'm going to go for this, pressure on, being this new sponsor and this team that was formed out of Lamprey. Tom Dumoulin is up towards the front on Rafa Micah's wheels. Balka Mollema, Bardet still towards the front. Nibali, Contador and Quintana just a little bit further behind with Aru there, but I tell you what, they can't afford to let Zakharin and Rui Costa get too much of a distance down the road. I still think there's a lot left in this race, especially from Contador and Quintana, but they are not wanting to help each other.
Tano Kangert, defending champion, just going backwards. It was always going to be about Fabio Aru this race, but whether it will be by the end is anyone's guess. Bardet seems to have recovered on some of the flatter sections. Tom Dumoulin looks like he's struggling, rolling with his bike at the moment in the black and white. Micah looks fresh. That's good to see. And here comes Nibali, potentially thinking about springing a surprise, as if that could possibly be easy amongst this rack of talent. They're all wise to each other's moves at the moment. Well, Senni at the moment out there with Zakharin with Rui Costa, and looking very handy. Zakharin, he's one of those, we mentioned him earlier, did a great Romandy, of course, 2 years ago, and he's back in our consciousness. We knew about Rui Costa, and in fact, if you've been listening to us from the top of the programme, then well done you. Give yourself a pat on the back. But we said that Rui Costa was, well, it was my sort of side tip today, if it wasn't going to be Quintana or Contador. And agreement between the two of us, Brian, that he had something to offer, and he's showing that right now.
He is. He's decided not to play games, not to sit back and take it from the front, and I love to see that. And Zakharin has moved across with him. Senni was there, but he was given the go-ahead to try and do his best, because the team leader TJ Van Garderen was dropped from the main group. They still have got Sammy Sanchez in this lead group, but it does look as if everybody's just looking at Contador and Quintana